You know, I just realized this is kind of evidence that I batch recorded the things for all of these, but oh well, I think most of you all sort of expected or understood that. Um, this one opens with a bunch of the bloopers just because that's the order I had I pre-edited this one and then just apparently never exported it, so which means I also need to turn a bunch of these into like short clip things, but yeah. This was from the 29th of September, which is probably why some of these are a little bit expired, including I was covering the fact that Brainworm Bobby Jr. tried to blame autism on Tylenol, which in the past week from day of recording, which is November 4th? Yes, November 4th. Brainworm Bobby has stepped back that claim for actually seemingly no reason. Like, he wasn't threatened or anything about it. But the state of Texas is suing the manufacturer of Tylenol for causing autism. And, yeah, that's a thing, I guess. We live in hell. First up, on Monday, after his ridiculous and eugenicist pledge that by September we will know... Damn it. His phrasing is so stupid, it's actually kind of annoying to read. I'm trying to read an actual Bobby Jr. quote, and he phrases everything so... like a third grader. So it's legitimately kind of annoying to read as someone who doesn't speak like a third grader. Fair warning that I'm definitely going to end up pronouncing a bunch of these like someone who speaks French and not Italian, so sorry. Even more paradoxically, they announced plans to use the fire name. Turns out, using there's sarcophagi from Stargate. If the... God damn it, why can I not fucking words? I'm doing my own inflections wrong. There's also Tesla bio... Damn it, fuck. I'm a little sad I wasn't recording that bit and I just noticed it, but oh well. I also think I need to... Yeah, I'm gonna need to adjust the camera a little. But... Okay. Did it stop recording and not See, this is why I used to make OBS auto-record, and I just keep forgetting to. Because this means that the recorded pre-show is missing the bit about, like... One, it's missing the bit about how... I think my... fifth? Yeah. While working on the fifth image for this, I literally broke down into a weepy goddamn mess because the world is really depressing. And it's missing the bit about how I complained about the fact that one of my favorite fucking collars, which I can't even wear the tag on anymore because the tag also said something similar and that's way easier to get rid of. I haven't been able to wear because it was given to me by an ex who had it engraved with not just my name, but theirs, and the fact that I was theirs before they fucking ghosted me for an entire goddamn month, and still are keeping some of my shit and won't let me give them the mountain of their crap back. So I had to Dremel that off this morning because I wanted to wear this collar and it goes really well with this dress. So yeah, I didn't want to not have that in the pre-show, but I wish I could come up with my lower third jokes a little bit more ahead of time. But I don't know why this, hang on. Do I just keep accidentally hitting the button thing? Cool. Apparently I just keep hitting the stop recording button, so I might just have to download this VOD. I mean, because they're both for the exact same purpose and hateful little shits, but export, no, right. I didn't actually, really good in loudspeakers. There's a bunch of, why is PBS the only one that has this? I mean, let's be honest, I know why, but meh. Do I just keep accidentally tapping that record button when I'm hitting my export button? That problem. Oh, because one of them is about keeping people from getting in while claiming that there is technically no legal way to get in. And the other one is about, hey, you made it past the people who deny any legal way to get in because they exist and they're specific. So there's so many issues. Okay, so the basic thing is that Customs and Border Patrol is specifically supposed to exist at the border. In fact, at the time of their founding, I believe they had a specific range at which they were allowed to move from the border because they were supposed to stay there because they had nothing to do with hunting people in the fucking streets. But ICE, as someone who grew up in Southern California, has always been about hunting people in the fucking streets. Because, yeah, even in goddamn Burbank, California, we had ICE agents, like, chasing down, not down my neighborhood, not necessarily for any of my neighbors, but for, like, friends and people who I went to school with. Like, they technically squished 3 or 4 things into CBP, then squished together what was left over into ICE. I think ICE technically was started before CBP, wasn't it? I mean, that's how they do a lot of those too. Because, like, hell, I was talking about, goodness, the weird thing, oh no, what's his name? Formed the same time? Oh, sorry, I thought you said different times. I might be thinking of the DHS split. God, James O'Keefe. The James O'Keefe story from like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where he was doing a false, not a false, but like a false pretenses recording of the acting deputy chief of a really specific subgroup within the FBI. No, not the FBI, DOJ. And it was one of those things where it's like, oh my God, I have to go through all of these different subgroups to explain what the fuck is going on and why James O'Keefe's claim is actually not that bullshit, which, what the fuck? I had to go through all of these hoops to show that James O'Keefe's bullshit wasn't. So, fun thing, he's not with Project Veritas anymore. They kicked him out, but he did, which is extra goofy because he's one of the founders. Yeah. Oh yeah, he hasn't been part of Project Veritas in like 2 years. This was on Muttday Morning News 4 or 5. James O'Keefe did, he had a woman pretend to be an au pair to interview, or to go on like a date with the acting deputy chief of the Special Operations Unit within the DOJ, who are themselves a group operating under, oh goodness, I had to go through like 3 different layers of this, but basically it was the interview that came out about how the Republicans will censor any Republican names in the Epstein files. And is it Epstein or Epstein? I don't actually care enough about the fucker to change. So whatever. So it's where all of those like quotes came from about, yeah, the Republicans will censor all of the Republican names and will reveal all of the Democratic names. And like, it was very clearly someone just going off to someone who they thought would be totally in agreement with everything they were talking about, and just talking about how, yeah, the Epstein files are real, there's pages of it, I've seen them, here's this information, and it's one of those weird things because instead of just doing the usual, it's James O'Keefe, we don't respond to him because he makes shit up and like aggressively he hides what he's doing from the folks he's interviewing, and then cuts everything really aggressively so you can't actually tell what the leading questions and everything were, and he fucking posted it to Twitter and it's still up. And instead of just going, yeah, that's dumb and bullshit, or doing what California did when he tried something similar with one of their, I think it was an adoption agency, because James O'Keefe's whole thing is that, I talk about this a lot, but basically each right-wing nutter generally has like one thing that they legitimately care about and have a brain-broken idea of how it works. And James O'Keefe's whole thing is that he is obsessed with human trafficking. He has no idea how it actually works, but he thinks he does, so keeps trying to do something about it. And one of the things that he did was go to a adoption agency that he suspected was taking part in human trafficking, and through a series of ridiculous questions and absurd framings, tried to basically imply that he wanted to buy a child, and tried to get them to say things that made it look like, and that's what he did through very aggressive editing and hard clip cutting and such, that they were trying to help him do that. The state of California subpoenaed him for his unedited footage, and when they looked at it, went, oh, this all makes so much sense now. You're that dude that they reported to us because they went, this dude is very clearly trying to buy children. We don't know who he is because we think that the information he gave is all false, but hey, here's this thing, which obviously immediately shut everything down when they were like, oh, cool. Now we can also close that investigation because we've still been trying to figure out who this weirdo that was trying to buy children really obviously was. But the fucking Trump administration, instead of doing that, went, oh, the person interviewed would have absolutely no knowledge of any of those things. This is all just him saying things that he's heard from the news and such, and don't worry, he's definitely just kind of dumb. And for some reason, here's a screenshot of an email that the acting deputy chief that was interviewed sent to his boss, also an acting deputy director, because they're all acting, except that it wasn't even the reason why I know it's a screenshot is because it was a uncropped 30% battery left on my airplane mode iPhone screen capture of the email. And it was just, wait, hang on, why? Also, wait, they posted that to Twitter. One of their two responses, I think it was not the one with the stupid screen cap email, was quote posting James O'Keefe's video. They're so fucking bad. They're so bad at this because it's just, no, he's a dumbass. You literally can just say, it's just James O'Keefe. You know not to trust. Everyone knows he can't be trusted or believed. But instead, they address it like it's a real concern, thus making me have to go look into shit to realize, oh, the department that this twit, goddamn, is the acting deputy chief of, would actually, theoretically, have a connection to any sort of Epstein investigation. You fucking dumbasses. In fact, both that department and the overarching department it was part of the day before that video posted was announced to be joining, I hate this so much, Task Force Alpha, because they can't come up with names apparently, which is a DOJ project specifically aimed at stopping human trafficking, except that it's run by the Trump administration, so their entire thing is that they have legitimately stopped a very small amount of child trafficking. They don't publicize that very much because for some reason, a bunch of them kept ending up being white fucking Christians. I wonder why. It's almost like that entire industry is a cottage industry set up to do exactly that, but So it was just one of the most, wait, hang on, like the announcement the day before O'Keefe's video specifically mentioned both the department and like the the special operations unit, and then it's like a 5-word name, and I cannot remember it to save my life, that the special operations unit operates within, because weirdly enough, despite being a part of the DOJ, the special operations unit's whole thing is that they're an interagency liaison group. Like they are a permanent interagency unit that exists to connect between all of the different absurd things under the DOJ. So yes, he would actually be one of the most likely people to have information, especially the day after they announced specifically bringing that department in on yet more new human trafficking things. I feel like I'm missing a word because it's Task Force Alpha something, because the acronym was 4 letters, but I don't remember what it was because it was 2 or 3 weeks ago and I'd have to go watch my own news show to remember, because legitimately part of the benefit of doing this news show is that I deal with the shit. I have to put it all in my brain anyway because I can't not. And then I defang it by trying to make it at least slightly funny. And then it's out of my head. It's out of my head. Okay, did I actually export this one? Let's make sure. I just went off on a fucking rant because James O'Keefe is such a dumbass. Yes, okay, cool. Oh, right, this one's real stupid. I know that I've said that for all of these past ones, but this one includes a post office saying that they no longer wish to deliver mail. There's not a joke there or anything, that's just it. It's a post office that doesn't want to deliver mail anymore. Because apparently, we live in a world where capitalists have forgotten that the point of government under capitalism, if you're gonna make us deal with this shit, is not to turn a profit, because it's not a fucking business. The entire point of government, if you're making us deal with a capitalistic hellscape, is to provide services that would be unprofitable to provide as a business, because they're, as a whole, better for society if they exist, or in many cases, actively needed for some businesses to turn a profit. I mean, the problem is, I have no issue with them, like, coming up with very simple, basic-ass names. It's mostly just that, hey, why not try and make it clear what the hell this thing does? Oh, right, because you don't want to... The reason why they don't talk about what that task force does very much is specifically because its goal is to stop human trafficking, except that it's also set up specifically to find only human trafficking that fits their very specific worldview, and the problem is that mostly doesn't exist. Or, in the couple cases where it does, it's run by people like Jeffrey Epstein for the benefit of folks like Donald Trump. And let's see, who else famously has been to Epstein Island? Oh, Elon Musk, Lawrence Krauss. I'm sorry, it always comes down to cishet white dudes. They're the fucking worst. Oh, right, so I'm taking way too long suddenly because I started going on these rants. So here's the thing, if it's actually conspiracy theory, it's not within the realm of possibility. It's just that things sound absurd if you take fascists at their word, because fascists lie. It's all they do. No. This is a good fun thing. I have no issue with this. I legitimately enjoy having my my pre-shows actually be lively while I'm trying to remember what the hell I'm doing for image sourcing crap. Oh right, this was my silly listen, because I finally get to make a forgot to down. Yeah, I know I have it. I don't know how I've managed it, but I don't think I've made a Bettridge's Law of Headlines joke on Muttday Morning News yet, despite the fact that I'm contractually obliged to make one of those jokes at least once a month over on Blue Sky. But yeah, please do not apologize for distracting me. I legitimately adore this part of getting shit set up. Honestly, if I just got my images set up ahead of time like a reasonable person, this wouldn't be an issue, but I enjoy doing this, so I just realized I get to make fun of the New... Which, I mean, I try and do that a lot, but whatever. Sorry, when I get to make fun of the New York Times for being worse at basic-ass journalism than me, I different joke here, because I already have a joke written in my script about my, let's say, journalistic quality. Just like, oh no, oh no, damn it, this one was annoying. I decided I'd actually already have this. Wait, no, I didn't use this. You see, text. Oh yeah, that's one of my stories too. Did it fucking go through? Or, because it might be dumber than you even think, fortunately. I mean, they've always been shit, but yeah. In fact, I think that's literally the image that I'm doing next. It's that story. Because I'm doing a silly thing really briefly beforehand, but then yeah. Oh, it's been official. That was never in question. That part was never in question. Yeah, it's been a story for like 2 or 3 days. It got announced on Saturday? What the hell 2 days ago was? I've lost all track of time. I'm not pretend. Huh. Yep, cool. I have to change that story. Because, no, it's not that it's, like, they've locked in the price and it's confirmed now, as of 3 hours ago. Yeah, don't worry, it's gonna get even dumber when I tell you the other fun idiot about it, because it's not just Saudi Arabia. Fucking swear. Gonna keep claiming these. Oh, that one's just... Oh, this is the less... Oh shit, this is also one I need to up on. I cannot figure out what the fuck joke to make here, no matter what. Okay, that might be the worst joke I've ever written. We'll see if anyone else catches it, because I don't know how many people actually pay attention to the stuff that I write on the images and shit, but I swear I say this. Yes, but which one? Which one do you need to pay attention? I say this was... Damn it, didn't. Oh, okay, what the shit? Oh, I thought I said this. I need to find a very specific one. I can't... There we go. Well, part of it's also just, there's no easy way to, like, save images from Blue Sky, or, like, save posts from Blue Sky, because I'll save them, and then they're just in that big list of saved shit, so that's fine. Yeah, the problem with feeds is that everyone can see them, and also, if it's a thing that... There's so many issues with that no, it's not actually helpful. also, frankly, that is really fucking annoying for other people when I could just, saving works just fine. I can save them in other places. I could grab the images of the skeets and just save them other places. Doing anything directly on Blue Sky requires, one, trusting that Blue Sky won't fuck it up later, which I don't, and also that I be able to find it, which requires that their search be functional, whereas if I just have it saved local, this wouldn't be an issue, and I just didn't save these. Right, that was in my save. That one I saved, because I really don't want to just play this. I think it's still playing in the background, but very sometimes my visual jokes are also just things for like, I don't want to explain something that I'm saying because it feels weird to me that I have to, so I'm just going to explain it a bit at the bottom. And I just did one of those too, because there's definitely, there's a bunch of things I just didn't down. Shit. A stupid gif of this instead. That one's last one. I'm so close. Okay. Oh, wait, I had two in this. Was the stupid one of these. One of these jokes will only make sense to a very small selection of people who watched Stargate mostly, so. Okay. I think that's actually everything done, except for the fact that I have to fucking change one of my stories because it got confirmed while I was doing the pre-show. I was looking very briefly at the confirmation button and I saw the price. Wait, hang on, what? Oh! I didn't notice that. Oh, sorry, this actually realized in a really specific way. That's so cool. That's wild. Maybe not worse, but different than I understood the issue. Or a new wrinkle. Okay, let me get all set up. You started. Is that cool? Okay, so, I'm going to hit the break button because I also need to pee real quick. I'm going to run an ad. I'm gonna post again to Blue Sky real quick, and then we will start. And trying to figure out if there's a good spot for her to technically still visible. Oh, right, I also camera stuff. This program. Oh, is that the issue? Oh, dare I have to. So that's why my camera looks like butts. My camera might. There we go. Yeah, I should not have been that. Just a minute, and I'll be right back. After this. It's like it. Okay, I know what part it's. Okay. Either way, I'll be right back. Like I said, break, announce stuff, all that good stuff. Yeah. I was trying really hard to not say dingle the bingle, mostly because everything that I do is already kind of like ridiculously lewd. But yeah. Okay. What shit did I not get a chance to go over? I can't necessarily do visuals for a bunch of these because it will drive me up the wall. But there was so much shit, y'all. There was so much shit. Like, okay, NPR put out a story about how to be less of an issue for drivers hitting you as a pedestrian, and it's one of those, no, it is on the fucking drivers. What's wrong with you people? I really wanted to include this one. There was a creepy redneck dinosaur mansion one re-raptored, added buttplug.io support this week. Like, not someone made a mod, like the main company itself did it, and I fucking love when let's see. There were so many things of just Trump seemingly losing his fucking mind on Truth Social that I couldn't actually hunt all of them down, and a bunch of them were just, this isn't even worth trying to debunk or something. It's just absurd. Like, okay, on the 23rd, he had this ridiculous post just outright admitting that, yeah, we illegally and in violation of the First Amendment demanded that ABC fire Kimmel, and were promised that was what happened. So last week, Sinclair and Nexstar, or Nexstar, it's not Nextstar, which I keep tripping over myself, both announced that they were going to still be preempting his show, and did so for a week, and just quietly announced that they weren't doing that anymore. I think Sinclair announced it on Wednesday or Thursday, and Nexstar, I think Friday or Saturday. It was very late and very quiet. Then one other absurd dude, what's wrong with you? Oh, I wanted to talk about the fucking Pete Hegseth is, among other things, having this ridiculous meeting of calling basically every general to Washington so that he can lecture them on grooming. Like, his biggest project, his biggest project has basically been demanding that every man in the army be 100% perfectly clean shaven, and that despite the fact that, yeah, there are a ton of folks with major skin conditions that make that a major issue, some of which are racially backed because, yeah, skin types vary. Some skin types do not do well with regular constant shaving. He's added a thing of like, if you request, you can request like special dispensation to not shave constantly, but if you do so, for more than a year in total, then you will be kicked out of the army. It's like, okay, look, I have many issues with military as a concept, but this is just a way to fire people for racial reasons without letting it seem like racial reasons, but sure. But also, it's real weird that when someone pointed out that in 1935, German generals were called to a surprise assembly in Berlin and informed that their previous oath to the Weimar Constitution was void and that they were requested to swear a new personal oath to the Fuhrer. Most generals took the new oath to keep their positions. Pete Hegseth retweeted that with the quote, "Cool story, General." This was before we knew what the meeting was supposed to be about, I'll add. And when it became clear that the meeting was about his weird obsession with grooming, it just made it weirder. I will also remind you that Pete Hegseth is, I'm not even going to say alleged, because it came out during his confirmation that, yeah, he's a raging alcoholic. Like, he is not, I do not 100% believe that he's been sober since he took the job as, God, what is he technically? Secretary of Defense? Oh, this is a personal thing for me, but hey, you don't have to call it the Department of War. That's not even its real name. Like, that's why I included that story last week. They very specifically, because Trump is a fucking coward and will only push certain lines for some reason, did not change the name. They just added another one because changing the name would have actually required an act of Congress or a massive illegal action, which he was too much of a coward to try because he knows he doesn't have wide support, or at least someone in his fucking cabinet knows he doesn't have wide support. So just, I keep seeing people doing the Department of War. Okay, if you want to be calling it the Department of War to make fun of it, go for it, but you don't have to. You don't have to sink to their stupid level. The other one that I really wanted to talk about, but that I didn't have time for, but also I think it's just kind of stupid, was the Comey indictment was handled by, I love this, Lindsay Halligan, the newly installed U.S. attorney who has never prosecuted a case, presented the Comey indictment all by herself to the grand jury. People familiar with the matter told Carol Leonig and Vaughn Hilliard and me, this is a tweet by Dillian of MSNBC, she may have a problem finding a prosecutor in office to work on the case. Like, that's not even cronyism. I mean, it technically is cronyism, but it's also just, they literally cannot find qualified attorneys who will pursue any of this bullshit for them anymore. Even after getting a whole bunch of attorneys to agree to those ridiculous, will do free work for Trump bullshit things from the executive orders. I had it, the other ones more weird Trumps. Those were posts in response to his Truth Social thing. Oh, there's a weird thing going on with Itch too, where I thought about covering this one, but there's no new news. A dev who may or may not have been a scammer based on the claim of Leaf, who quite frankly, I don't necessarily trust anymore, and no one else has verified that claim, pointing out again that, yeah, payout issues continue to persist. And despite the fact that legitimate sellers keep pointing this out too, Leaf's only response was to make a long post on Reddit, not on Itch, not with journalists who were covering it, but in response to a social media post on Reddit, which he keeps fucking doing, because this is also how he responded to Mira Lazine's article covering all of the queer and just trans writers, authors, and devs who had been hit in blanket bans, but and just focused on this person is a scammer, here's the reasons why they didn't get their money. I'm like, okay, cool. What about the literally 229 posts that are still up on that thread that you've now discontinued use of, and also all of the folks who keep admitted openly that, yeah, we're taking bets on how long we think it'll be until we get our itch payouts, if we get them at all. Like, yes, before anyone brings it up, I covered it myself last week. The Vintage Story devs did indeed eventually get their bag. Mostly. They got 3 payouts, because Itch's system only lets you have 3 pending payouts. They had more payouts, or more money still pending, that could not be placed in one of those, that covers the entire time from when they requested the last payout to when they delisted the game from Itch, which I believe has not returned, because again, they sell it on their own site and have a whole thing. The literal first question in their FAQ is about why they're not on Steam. And this just seems like the worst devs to piss off this way, but sure. Oh, right. This was the other one that, the Trump thing where he was just like all capitals about like pregnant. I love this part. It's pregnant women, which those two are just the first letters are capitalized. Every other letter in this until the last word is all caps. Don't use Tylenol unless absolutely necessary. Don't give Tylenol to your young child for virtually any reason. Break up the MMR shot into 3 totally separate shots, not mixed. Take chicken pea shot separately. Take hepatitis B shot at 12 years old or older. And importantly, take vaccine in 5 separate medical visits. President DJT, because apparently he signs all of his fucking Truth Social posts. Okay, so a couple things real quick there. None of that's necessary, obviously, because he's a ranting loon. 2, his own idiot health department did not recommend breaking up the MMR. It recommended breaking up the MMR and the V, which is, he doesn't know what varicella is, which is why he said chicken pox. Actually, he said chicken P, but whatever. Like the letter P, just... And again, the CDC didn't even recommend against that technically. What they recommended against was that specific shot unless you're a low-income child, in which case, despite the fact that it's allegedly tied to febrile seizures, then they still want to give it to your child. So remember that just utter evil and cruelty. The Hep B vaccine that he's saying don't take until you're 12, yeah, part of the reason for that is hepatitis B is primarily a sexually transmitted disease, which means that children, especially vulnerable to sexual abuse, need that vaccine significantly earlier. The thing about the vaccines in like separate doses is this weird obsession of his that he's had it going back ages. In fact, I think H-Bomb quoted it in his autism vaccine video because Trump is a fucking dumbass. He's just an actual idiot. And one of his things is that it's so much liquid going in that it's a shot, dude. It's a fucking shot. And he's acting like they're just shoving more liquid into the body than the child is volumetrically. It's insane. It's fucking unhinged and just, it has no basis in reality. So it's one of those, I don't even have a way to respond to this because it's just stupid. And it's always been one of his weird obsessions. Oh, right. This was more Jeffrey Epstein information coming out about folks having dinners and meetings and shit with him in 2017, where it's just like, yeah, Peter Thiel, because fucking course Peter Thiel, Steve Bannon, Reed Weingart, Bill Gates, Ron Barron and Josh Harris awaiting reply. Elon Musk to island on December 6th. Is this still happening? ? Gregory Riches. There's so basically everyone keeps getting tied with Epstein. Also, that was the other really stupid thing. I didn't take the time to explain that opening image, but last week this statue of Jeffrey Epstein and Trump holding hands, it was described as just appearing in front of the Capitol. Paradoxically, it didn't just appear. It was an art installation that had a permit. So not only, one, did someone go out and get actual approval to put this statue up, it then, I don't know why that one's blocked there, Nobuyuki, but I can't see what it is, but hi. I don't remember why that, yeah, I'm gonna guess it's an emote and I can't think of what it is because I can't see what it is until it appears, which is why I'm not letting it through, because I'm frankly assuming that it probably is a thing. Oh, yeah, because it's the fucking peep emote. Yeah, no, those are 100% banned entirely on my channel because they are racist dog whistles that were specifically spread by groypers. Those were created by neo-Nazis to advertise neo-Nazism through their memes to gamers. That's the original comic was not intended as such, which is part of why the original comic creator killed that character and disavowed any connection with them in 2016. But yeah, the Peep Frog is a racist dog whistle specifically created and used by initially groypers because the entire gamer spaces are fucking dominated by neo-Nazis and people just ignore that because they're just so deeply embroiled in this shit. Yeah, so, and anything that is like Peep or anything like that is a hard ban in my thing. It's just that I can't see it doesn't appear as a emote until it actually like loads in properly, so. So the weirdness though with this is that on top of having a permit for it, because one, why would you go out and get a permit for that? Two, who gave you a permit for that? It's already been torn down because I believe its permit was supposed to go until either yesterday or next month, but it was torn down in like 2 days and in the dead of night. So maybe actually only like a day. But yeah, it was torn down in the dead of night because Trump is pathetic and cannot handle the barest criticism. What else? Oh, there's a really stupid one that I don't even care. I actually find her to be utterly insufferable and her fans to be some of the worst human beings on Earth because most of them think that they're liberals, and I continue to use that word with dripping invective, but are actually conservative fuckwads. Taylor Swift was asked by the NFL to play the Super Bowl for free. Sorry, not for free, for exposure. Taylor Swift was asked by the NFL to play the Super Bowl for exposure because she's been going to games to watch her fiancé, and the NFL thinks that it would be better for her to play the Super Bowl than them, despite the fact that they've already been trying to use the fact that she's going to games as a way to advertise them in ways that have been actually leading to people attacking and threatening her because they don't want her at NFL games for some reason, because I don't even know. That part didn't make any fucking sense to me. But yeah, so on top of the fact that they are actively profiting off of her, they wanted more profit and to put her at more risk, I guess? Yes, they're actually a pretty regular thing. Short-term permits for installations are a pretty regular thing. There's a whole, oh goodness, what's it called? London has a very famous one, but a lot of cities actually have this sort of thing because, frankly, if you have artists that are working even in like mediums like statues and things, it's not that difficult, at least in a modern sense, to like shift through statues. So London very famously has the Fourth Plinth, which is I believe originally it was supposed to be a statue and no one could agree what was supposed to go there, and they ended up just using it as a semi-regular, well, not semi-regular, as a regular art installation that just changes out constantly because the other three have permanent installations, but the fourth doesn't. It's not a terribly uncommon thing. It mostly just requires an amount of infrastructure for it to be doable, and DC very much has several of these places. It's a thing you also find a lot in, like, frankly, leftier places because they have folks working in weirder mediums who kind of want to display or who will make stuff that is very of the moment and deserves or would like to be displayed somewhere. So, anything else really stupid? Oh, okay. This one's kind of just dumb for me. There's an Irish rap group named called Kneecap, who are kind of famously banned from a bunch of countries, mostly for being aggressively I was gonna say pro-Palestinian, but also just like actively anti-imperialist and decolonization focused. And 2 weeks ago, there was an announcement about how they had very recently suddenly been banned from Canada. Oh, my legs. Sorry, my hip is being a grump. How they were banned from Canada based on the word of one specific minister, Vince Gasparo, who it came out last week. It turns out he just went rogue and decided to announce that independent of anyone else. Who did this was, I don't have the paper name, damn it. This was from an Ottawa, Ontario paper whose name I did not write down. In a dramatic turn of events on the day already marked by major announcements, Canada's recognition of Palestinian statehood and the tabling of a new federal hate crimes bill, because yes, unfortunately they tabled a hate crimes bill. Sources inside the Prime Minister's office have confirmed that the Irish rap group Kneecap was never officially banned from Canada, despite Liberal MP Vince Gasparo's public statement. According to a senior PMO insider, Gasparo went rogue in making the announcement, lied about receiving authorization from Immigration, Refuge and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, and may have committed a serious breach of the Federal Privacy Act, and an unprecedented scandal in Canadian history. The PMO explicitly asked MP Gasparo whether he had the IRCC's authorization to make this announcement. He said yes. That was false, the source confirmed. No decision has been made by the IRCC or the PMO. His statement was completely unauthorized. Which is not to say that they're not going to do it, because they keep doing dumb shit like that. I also thought about including one really, really stupid thing from... Wait, the fuck? Sorry, this keeps throwing me off. I have the gun violence archive open for that thing about how there were 7 mass shootings in the last 48 hours or so. And part of what keeps throwing me off is the fact that 2 of them were in Louisiana and 2 of them were in North Carolina. One of the North Carolina ones was a dude in a boat. Like, I'm just so... The fuck? Okay, I feel like I had some other stupid stories too. I very specifically did not want to cover any of the other shootings because I've not done a ton of looking into them, and they all seem extra fucked. And like, there's a lot of confusion around them, so I just kind of stayed away from them. That's another one of the fucking Oh, there's more dumb stuff about the Blue Sky TOS as the moderation, not even the moderation team, just like the core team continue to be shitty and dismissive to basically anyone who's an a cishet white guy sucking their dick. Being a Mark Maron fan continues to be nothing but winning. If you're not aware, he's a kind of old school-ish comedian out of the US that runs the WTF podcast. He has spent basically the past weekend lambasting every fucking comedian, including Dave Chappelle, because of fucking course he went, who went to the comedy event that Saudi Arabia is putting on in Riyadh to, again, try and sports watch their image of human rights violations, journalistic murder, and just generally trying to make the lives of every human being that isn't the Saudi Arabian royal family objectively worse. Well, shorter, too. Oh, damn it, I wanted to include this one, but I didn't have the time or much less the brain. There's a thing going around on Blue Sky that is annoying me to no end because the person whose post is getting shared has the information wrong about how... Well, the reason why Blue Sky exists because Jack wanted to create his own separate thing while he was still with Twitter, and then handed it off to a new team who wanted to make Twitter again, except that they basically, the folks who are running Twitter right now want to run what Twitter currently is. They want 2025X. I mean, aside from the dying part. The problem is they created a social media platform and advertised it to the people who were not succeeding on Twitter, which mostly meant deplatformed sex workers and trans women. So they got a massive fucking lefty base and got a fair amount of money out of it. Unfortunately, they also got some really fucked up shit coming along with it too, because I was on Blue Sky back when Kyrie and Anansi were around, and yeah, if you don't know what that means, you're better for it. But suffice to say, some of the lefties that started out in Blue Sky were not actually that lefty. Anansi is a Fed and occasionally shows back up every once in a while. Also an alleged rapist. Kyrie is also an alleged rapist in multiple instances, and just general sexual abuser, specifically of other trans women, because she's a trans woman. So she had that of inherent trust and wildly abused it. But there's a thing that's been circling around Blue Sky of the alligator Alcatraz and the 1,800 men are missing. Okay, or sorry, 1,800 men are missing. Okay. First of all, that post also claims that Alligator Alcatraz, which, yes, I'm sorry, it is the actual name, I don't have another thing to call it, closed. It is not closed. The fucking concentration camp, which has now led to at least 2 deaths, but considering that they're still denying anyone access to the buildings, it's very likely significant more, was ordered to be closed within 60 days of September 4th by a by a judge out of Florida. 2 weeks after that, sorry, not September 4th, September 1st, it was ordered closed within 60 days. Not even just closed. It was ordered closed and entirely disassembled by the 60-day mark. 2 weeks later, an appeals court paused that. I don't think I've seen any updates since then, but the appeals court paused the order to tear it all apart and everything, and have essentially allowed it to just keep running as is. It contains reportedly 1,800 detainees. At least 1,200 of those, we have no idea who they are, or if they may be somewhere entirely else. Because the actual thing is that ICE has 1,200 people whom they will not tell anyone where they're being kept. The assumption is that they are being kept at Alligator Alcatraz because no one knows who the 1,800 people are at that place for sure. There's 450 folks who were on the ICE registry where their only information was name and then contact ICE for information on where they are. ICE was lying about where they were when their attorneys attempted to contact them, and I will say that outright because at least one person's family did eventually find him because ICE kept telling them that he was in California. They instead discovered that he was recovering from category, I think it's category 4, hemorrhoid surgery, emergency hemorrhoid surgery at Alligator Alcatraz. Recover is also a strong word because he'd actually been chained to a bed for weeks while unable to properly recover. There are a further 800 men who do not even have contact ICE for details on their information. It's just name and nothing. That's the thing. But very pointedly, no, the concentration camp is not closed. It is still 100% running. It is still committing wild, inhumane human rights violations and killing people. What? Oh, okay. This one isn't like, sorry, I was trying to get there. This one isn't as big of a deal, but it's mostly stupid because I started looking into the medbed thing before realizing that medbed cards were a very specific brand of the grift, which I'm annoyed about because I saw someone had it was one of the articles that I was reading through, had an image of their like pricing structure, and I didn't screenshot it to remember it, and I don't remember where that article was because search engines being what they are, it's actually really difficult to fucking search for any of the medbed shit right now because everyone's talking about it. But before I realized that medbed cards were their own specific aspect of or brand of the grift, I was looking through a bunch of the other ones and stumbled into the Tesla biohealing thing, and holy shit, this company is so stupid. Like, I have 3 different court cases just that I found by accident, almost entirely of their own employees or former employees suing them, or in one case, their founder suing his wife, who's also the co-founder, but also they both, and that was like 2 years ago, and they both still run the company? Because he's allegedly constantly cheating. Like, one of the suits was a dude who moved from Colorado to Delaware to work for them as like a marketing director, I believe, of some sort. I had it open and I just don't recall. Oh, this one. Yeah, Russell C. Prester sued Tesla Biohealing back in 2023 because he was hired by them as their, give me your stupid job title, Director of Customer Services. And after he moved to Delaware and started working for them, he was made aware of the fact that, I want to keep getting names not entirely wrong. Part of the issue for this one is legitimately that a bunch of the judge's complaints are that, dude, your claim makes no sense, and also you have shit numbered, but it goes like 22, 22, 24, 25, 25, 26, 26. Just like, what? Me the fucking founder's name. Yeah, okay, here it is. On December 19th, 2021, Prester emailed a letter to Helen Gu, Rebecca Zimmerman, and Christine Gali. Gu is Tesla Biohealing's president and owner. Zimmerman is Tesla Biohealing's human resources director. Gali is the sales and marketing director. Prester described allegations of sexual misconduct against Tesla Biohealing CEO and owner. I'm still so thrown off that they said someone else was the owner already, but none of them are co-owners. What? CEO and owner Dr. James Liu had been reported to him by 3 different customers, because half of the fucking things that I'm finding out are that James Liu, the owner and CEO, while also there's an owner and a president who's not him, whatever, keeps allegedly sexually assaulting and harassing the people who use their med beds for ridiculous amounts of money, but whatever. Like, he brought up with this claimant brought up with those 3 women? I think so. Yes, women. That, hey, I keep hearing that the CEO is like assaulting people. What's up with that? Can we fix it? And then he was fired. And the problem is that even then, he's still a horrible like asshat through his entire complaint, because the whole thing is that in this absurd thing is he didn't try to get the wages that he alleged he's missing back until a Delaware law was changed that made it so you could retroactively request stolen pay back with a what's the word? Statute of limitations increase. So for some reason, Delaware law used to say that the statute of limitations for reacquiring stolen wages was a year, which fuck off, what? But they extended it in May of 2023 to 2 years for any cases starting from that day on. And Preister went, this is my chance, and jumped in to go, I was fired within 2 years of this date. Give me my lost wages, because he didn't do it when he was fired for some reason. Whatever. Basically, this case is still being heard as far as I can tell, but a bunch of the elements of it were specifically dropped because, no, you dumbass, you've passed the statute of limitations for it, and this new law you read wrong because you didn't listen to your attorney. Also, given the way a lot of his claims are written, I would gamble that his attorney took no part in writing them. Or his attorney is using generative AI, but look, if you're paying an attorney who's using generative AI, that's somehow even worse, but... And then I have a bunch of their, like, FDA filings and shit here, and there's... actually, these are new ones, now that I think about it. Hang on, wait, what? This isn't... I forgot about this one. This was an adverse effect report that somehow one of their medbed generators killed someone? Oh, right. No, it's not that it killed someone. Well, because they don't do anything, and they keep selling them to folks for like, this'll cure cancer or things. So it wasn't, I needed to double read it. It wasn't that it's killing people. It's that the outcome of treatment was death because they had terminal cancer. And yeah, when you use brand name Tesla medbed generator type of device, lamp, infrared, therapeutic heating to try and combat cancer, it doesn't do shit. I would like to make it clear, there were some positive stories I did not have time to fit in, though. Actually, this one's kind of stupid that I wanted to include. This is not a positive one, sorry. ICE kidnapped 20 gay men for cruising in a bathroom in Penn Station. There we go. On the 24th. I don't have anything to say about that one. It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Technically, they arrested more than 200. They pulled 20 that they decided were immigrants to be deported. SpaceX is seeking more approval for more satellites. Hey, don't use SpaceX, but also Starlink is evil too. Don't use Starlink. SpaceX and Starlink are kind of intrinsically linked. Fun fact, part of the issue behind a lot of SpaceX's rockets is that they're specifically using a rocket design that is intended to get satellites into orbit, not to ever be a viable form of transport for people. It's also part of the issue with their fuel systems, too. Because, yeah, most of their rockets were actually originally intended, and that fuel system is intended for launching satellites, because Starlink launches millions of them with really shit orbits, so they're polluting both space in the immediate area around our planet, and then coming back down, and when they burn up, a lot of the stuff in those satellites does not burn clean. Nothing technically burns clean, but you know what I mean. There was a thing about how the Trump administration actually lost a major case in one of their weird we hate green energy things, where they've been trying to shut down like coastal and offshore wind power generation. Oh yeah, apparently Tony Blair is not only still alive and looking even more like a desiccated husk of a human being, he's trying to get, well, he's definitely trying, but Trump and the Labor government, who are still trying to claim that they're a left-wing party, no, they're fucking not, are trying to put Tony Blair, the man responsible for maybe as many war crimes as a USian dictator, installed as the colonial governor of a Palestinian state, because, I guess Britain really just couldn't think of a solution to a problem that didn't include them trying to act like they are an empire, but yeah, I wish that I was making that sound more extreme than it is, but no, that really is it. There is a White House backed and reportedly Starmer potentially backed plan that would have Tony Blair. They did not use these terms, but yeah, with Washington backed plan for Tony Blair to head Transitional Gaza Authority. It's like, yes, that would be a white desiccated husk of a man who committed so many war crimes becoming the colonial governor of is it something bad involving him that isn't ID cards? Well, there's also the ID card thing, but okay, that's the Taylor Swift story that I was just talking about. That's the post office. I did not go through any of the Trump executive orders, so well, isn't the UK also doing their ridiculous ass push now for the digital ID cards? Oh, there's a really good article. I'm going to link this one in the post-show description, but there's a really good article on September 25th out of Wired where they go into a huge breakdown of the damage that Elon Musk and Doge have done to not even just the government. They also affected charities that they had no right or should have had any access to, not the least of which being that Doge may have actually compromised every single American Social Security number just entirely outright. They are very likely all in the hands of anyone who can figure out what Doge's networking was. So, and reportedly it was not diff to break. Yeah, I've never understood the digital ID card thing, but that did remind me though of one of the other stupid things, which is Apple has been specifically trying to get the EU to repeal the Digital Markets Act, which among other things is the act that forced them to swap. Unfortunately, this is from the year before they had to do that. Swap away from their proprietary lightning cable bullshit. And frankly, I think they see the writing on the wall from this that other people don't seem to be acknowledging yet, because this is from Ars Technica. Apple's demanded Brussels scrap its landmark big tech legislation, taking a step in the US tech giant's fight against European oversight. The EU's Digital Markets Act, DMA, which entered into force in 2022, aims to curb the power of big tech and level the playing field for smaller rivals, with fines of up to 10% of global revenue for companies that do not comply. I fucking love that. Like, legitimately, the problem with just leveling fines is that when you're talking about a company that, again, controls literally half of a $90 billion a year industry, a slap on the wrist fine of even hundreds of millions of dollars does nothing. But if you take 10% of their revenue, not profit, revenue, for every violation, yeah, that's fucking great. That's fucking great. Are you kidding me? And obviously Trump also trying to get rid of it because it discriminates against US companies. No, it doesn't. Weirdly enough, the way that Apple is pissed about it, where is their specific? Oh, yes, here we go. For example, Apple said it had to delay certain features such as live translation via its AirPods to make sure they complied with the DMA's requirement for interoperability. The EU rules specify that apps and devices made by one company need to work with those made by competitors. Despite our concerns with the DMA, teams across Apple are spending thousands of hours bringing new features to the European Union while meeting the law's requirements, but it's become clear that we can't solve every problem the DMA creates. Hey, I legitimately will point out that implies as well that controllers for different consoles would need to be cross-platform without the need for something like an 8-bit duo or an 8-bit do. I always fuck up the name. But yeah, I think that's a good thing and is the way it should be. But I legit think that Apple has seen a little bit of the writing on the wall there and is realizing, oh, this is going to start causing major disruptions in our industry because so many of our things are pointlessly and proprietarily locked in the same way that we didn't get with stuff like a Sony DVD player and a Samsung DVD player can both still play DVDs just fucking fine. And I think someone at Apple is starting to realize exactly how broad-reaching those interpretations can be. Then what else? What? Yeah, the Pokemon story was wildly fucked up. Oh yeah, there was more. Basically, there's been a whole bunch more cases just utterly thrown out because it turns out Border Patrol and ICE keep just making up lies that they cannot back in court because they made them up. Oh, I forgot about this thing. I wanted to report on this one. The Shelby County government shares National Guard checkpoint etiquette advice as the fucking Trump government threatens to send martial law in. Of course, Fox goddamn News decided that it was really important to them to put out a here's how to behave nicely for the fucking invasion force. There was also an Ars Technica article about how the Department of Homeland Security has been quietly collecting the DNA of Americans and immigrants for years. And this was one of those things that, like, it was sort of an open secret, but also, hey, now it's in the hands of literal eugenicist fascists. So, yay. Including, by the way, many who at no point agreed to this. Okay, I did cover that one. Oh, okay, so I didn't get a chance to do any of these, but there were a ton. There were so many. There have literally been dozens of folks who were fired for comments made about Charlie Kirk that have already been given their jobs back because judges went, yeah, that's blatantly illegal, you dumbass. Just dozens of them, including in like South Dakota. One other that I really wanted to get included, but some of the sources for it are down or linked to sites that didn't seem to exist, is that Kenya, who historically actually have a fairly aggressively conservative government, which very surprised by, had a landmark trans case where the judge not only ordered the recognition of a trans woman, but ordered the government to pass a Transgender Protection Rights Act. And it's like, what? Oh shit, that's kick-ass. Because again, like, Kenya's had a kind of historically conservative government, and if even they're seeing that, okay, hell yeah. I'm trying to make a very clear delineation that, because I've already seen a lot of people just be shitty about look, if even Kenya can do it, because they're doing even if this African black nation can do it. It's like, no, shut the fuck up. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's African or black or anything about that. It's that it's a really conservative country that has not technically been a dictatorship, but has been relatively authoritarian for the past couple of, let's go, decade or so. But that's legitimately fucking awesome. And I'm trying to make that clear distinction that, like, this has nothing to do with the fact that it's in Africa. It has everything to do with the fact that it's a historically very conservative country. Oh, this is one really cool bit of good news, actually, that I will probably still work into next week's show. There's a new rabies vaccine. And it was developed here in Colorado, actually. And when I say there's a new rabies vaccine, I mean there is a new fucking revolutionary new rabies vaccine. This was developed out of, University of Colorado Boulder. I believe the current rabies vaccine is 3 or 5 doses, which has a unique extra unfun issue of needing to be refrigerated. It's not the most fun, and also just, look, if you've ever seen what rabies does to an animal or a person, go get rabies vaccines if you have even the slightest concern. It is not a good way to go. It's fucked up. The new rabies vaccine is fascinating. So this report came out on the 4th of September. It's a single dose and temperature stable rabies vaccine. And it does that with, I love this, a candy coating and sapphires. Okay, I have to explain because it's so stupid. No, I'm stupid. No, it's not. When I say it like that, I mean it because it's so ridiculous that I'm amazed that this is legitimately how this works. So the candy coating, look, I worked in food for a very long time, and I find it very amusing to tell folks that the actual name for the candy coating that goes on like M&Ms and they're like is called shellac. And essentially the vaccine particulates have a candy coating shellac that the human body breaks down just fine, which is what prevents them from needing the cold storage. The sapphires, which they're coated in differing layers of sapphire. I cannot recall if it's the sapphire underneath the candy or the candy underneath the sapphire, but the sapphire has a has varying thickness because it's another mineral compound that the human body breaks down just fine with no major side effects. So they work as a time release. The candy keeps it from going bad, and the sapphire, the body very slowly works its way through the layers until it gets to and releases the vaccine throughout itself. And since it has differing thickness layers, you essentially have these multiple time delay releases. It's fucking brilliant. And it's so good. It's so good. It's been, new method outlined in August 2025. Paper from Journal of Pharmaceutical Scientists creates shots that are temperature stable. Shots also combine multiple time release doses into a single injection, potentially reducing the number of healthcare visits each person needs and helping to break down barriers to care. We think the implications are huge. Ted Randolph, professor in CU Boulder's Department of Chemical and Biological Engineering, we're really excited about it. It's so good. It's the same thing as the vaccine floss that I talked about in the first episode of Muttday Morning News, because that's why I wanted to do the two different vaccine stories in the first one. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of similar. The things that folks are doing with vaccines are groundbreaking and phenomenal. It's why I had those two in the very first Muttday Morning News, because we had the vaccine floss that was literally just, hey, that's a really good spot. Like, getting in between the teeth is a really good spot for absorption of a lot of things. I bet we could do that for a lot of vaccine pickup too, and that would also remove a lot of the need for cold storage, and in that one's case, remove the need for trained trained nurses to do the injection. You can just give people floss. And even, I love that they had one of their human test runs was literally just how well will this work for just random people who haven't been trained to floss right, and found that the average person gets 60% of the dosing where it needs to be. So provided we adjust our dosing for that, it works great. Or the really ridiculous one from the first episode, which was the artificial nanotech glycosystem that sounded like goddamn science fiction, where they essentially rebuilt the same sugar structures that normally occur on the outside of a lot of human cells that some proteins or some viruses use to inject in their protein spikes into human cells, largely because they're attracted physically to the sugar structures. So these nanotech scientists built a more perfect sugar structure that has it's 4 specific structures that they pointed out seem to be doing the trick, that the presence of those 4 just made them outcompete for the protein spikes. So the viruses just went for them and injected the viral load into nothing instead of into cells. The things folks are doing with vaccines are fascinating. Sadly that one, the one that creates basically a physical defense, definitely has an issue of how on earth do you actually distribute this where you need it? But otherwise, I love this. Randolph's team described the new rabies vaccine as sapphire-coated Jolly Ranchers. So technically it's aluminum oxide. Which is what sapphire is, but yeah. Oh yeah, here it is. Even at warm temperatures, the shots developed by Randolph's team don't degrade. To make them, the team sprays sugar solutions containing inactive rabies viruses and other vaccine components through nozzles that make a fine mist, which dries to form a powder of microparticles. These microparticles have a glassy texture similar to that of a hard candy. The rabies virus proteins are immobilized and preserved in the candy coating, like ancient insect fossils trapped in amber. Next, the team coats the candied particulates with a layer of aluminum oxide, which is what sapphire is, of precisely controlled nanoscopic thickness using a process called atomic layer deposition, pioneered by Alan Weimer and Stephen George, professors in engineering and chemistry at CU Boulder. Because sapphire dissolves very slowly once injected into a patient, the nanoscopic sapphire layers protects the sugar-coated vaccine particles for days to weeks, depending on the thickness of the sapphire layer applied to the microparticles. When the sapphire starts to break down, the sugar layer dissolves, and the vaccine particles are released into the body one dose at a time. We're basically making sapphire-coated Jolly Ranchers, Randolph said. I fucking love vaccine scientists because they all seem to just be unhinged like this. Okay, I have to get all of this stuff like edited and done because now it's almost noon. And yeah, thank you all so very much for joining me. I hope you've all had fun. I know this was a weirder one than usual, but I wanted an excuse to do my stupid, like, all pink bullshit for this one. So, have a great day, night, whatever time zone. I think I already said that. Reminder that this stream is brought to you by April, Fragile Paper, Pinball Witch, Yalk, Pimento, and Rose, as well as by you for your amazing support here on Twitch, as well as over on patreon.com/fen and or coffee.com/fen. I don't super have a person to throw y'all to, so I'm just gonna call it here. And yeah, I will see you on Thursday for Digimon, right? I think I said 9 a.m. there, and I'm not 100% sure if the game will be out, so it might just be a just chatting until the game's out. But hey, bye all!